Okay, I'll be going through some new features and highlights in release 26. So JDE Premier support for 9.2 has once again been extended by another rolling 10-year window and has now been extended to at least 2036. We can see Oracle's commitment to a further minimum of 10 years of enhancements for JDE by the continuous release updates and planned updates. There have been 32 releases and 1,000 plus enhancements on JDE 9.2, which brings us to our latest release, release 26. To note, with release 26, they have now aligned the application update, which is 26, and the tools to the same number. So the tools would now be 9.2.26.1.2. So with some of the highlights, let's look at the digital platform. So the digital platform areas include process automation, your user experience, your enterprise integration, your no-code, low-code. And all the features in the red italics are what is planned, and the others have been included in the base release of 26. So with process automation, there is the enterprise automation dashboard, your detailed debugging of orchestrator form requests, and debug of orchestrations with file inputs. From the user experience, you get notification on enterprise one-page tiles and widgets with user inputs. With the no-code, low-code, you get form extensions for power edit forms and conditional launch of orchestrator. So let's have a look at some of these features in more detail. The enterprise automation dashboard, you can now add your process modeler to the enterprise one page with the ability to add 2 process modelers with drill down functionality into the data within the process modeler, which means you can have your enterprise one page with your various tiles to process the steps in the sales order process, for example. And as you process, you can view the changes in your process modeler on your screen. On this page, you can then even include your watch list. You can add some widgets to provide you with a complete dashboard for your sales order process. So all the information you need is displayed on one page and readily available. So here we have an example of how you could have your enterprise one page. So what you could have, on the top, you could have your process tiles, tiles with watch list attached to the tile to provide you with key information about your process. On the right-hand side, you've got your sales inquiries, which are constantly and readily available for you. On the left, you've got your watch list pane with readily available data at your fingertips. And on the bottom left, you can have widgets, you can display your data as a badge, meter, or a graph. And in the bottom section, you have your process modeler, which has got your different KPIs and represents your whole sales order process. So you can have a ton of information on your screen all readily available. So with your enterprise automation dashboard, you can compare 2 process modelers. So you could compare your live data to a snapshot, and you can highlight the differences between the 2 processes. So example, on the left-hand side, you've got your process as at now. And on the right-hand side, you could have a snapshot where you could have the data as how it looked at the beginning of the day, or the beginning of the week, or the beginning of the month. And you can compare the different data. And the data will, where there are changes, it will highlight in yellow in your process modeler. And once again, you've got the ability to drill down into that data. So to compare, so you've got the compare functionality, so you can see the movement between the various processes from your one process modeler to the other process modeler. So here you can see how the procurement process has changed. So the 114K was highlighted. And if you look at that, it moved from 103K to 114K, which is up 10%. And then if you look at it from a node perspective, where your print purchase order has moved from 98,000 to 87,000. So that went down by 11%. Okay, then moving on. Another feature is widgets. So from a single widget, you can now enable user input. So there's no longer a need to have multiple widgets with every possible combination. So if you want to look at your company spend for an individual company, you now have the ability to input the company number. So, so I can want to look at the company 200. So I would look at company 200, input that. And if another user wanted to look at company 100, they could then input company 100 in the same widget. So that's quite a nice feature. And then moving on to notifications on Enterprise One pages. So now you can attach your notification. It can be displayed on your tile or a connector. So it works similar to how your watch lists and widgets work. So you can look at your number of unread messages, and you can associate that to a tile. So if I'm looking at that tile, which is your purchase order approval, there are 4 unread messages for the purchase order process. And then you can click on it and you can view your messages. On the application front, the enhancements that I've made is you've got the enhanced delegation of your purchase order approval process. You've got the tolerance check in your partial voucher match, which is useful as it enables you to check tolerance based on foreign amounts. And this is enabled by a processing option. Then you have the ability to reprint invoices for held orders. So if a partially shipped order is on hold and you need to reprint an invoice for the customer, a processing option now enables that functionality. And the ones in red is what is planned going forward in release 26. So if we look at the enhanced delegation of the purchase order approval process, your delegation of approvers in your purchase order allows the users to temporarily transfer your approval responsibilities to another user with a date effective and date through capabilities. So prior to this, when you had to delegate to another approver, the delegation would happen, and you would then have to remember to go and revert back that delegation. And people often used to forget about this. Now you can plan ahead for it. And it also maintains a history of your approval delegation. The next feature is that they converted the PO mobile or the progressive web application to comply with the latest technical requirements for Visual Builder. So the PO approval mobile application is a progressive web application developed using the Oracle Visual Builder Cloud and Orchestrator to access your JDE data and business logic. Then you can render this application on smartphones, tablets, and desktops through a URL. And then if we look at the evolution of the digital platform, how JD Edwards has moved from the Internet of Things to now AI. So if you combine the power of your JDE orchestration with the power of the OCI AI services, you can use that to build innovative automation processes. And one of these innovations is using JDE Orchestrator, the JDE Voucher Match automation process, and Oracle AI to automate the process of supplier invoices in JDE. So the voucher match automation process, it's a process that automates the matching of supplier invoices to purchase orders, receipts, and the creation of AP vouchers. This process significantly enhances efficiency by reducing manual intervention and improves the accuracy of transactions. So the key features of the voucher match automation process: you can use it for the creation of log vouchers. So these will be preliminary vouchers where the amounts are written to a suspense account instead of the final expense account. And it's perfect for when receiving direct AP invoices. Then you have the three-way match. So the VMA process performs a three-way match between the invoice, purchase order, and the receipt. And this ensures that your quantities and amounts match across the three documents before creating the voucher in AP. Your two-way match, voucher match option is for simpler transactions where the VMA process can perform a two-way match between the invoice and the receipt, therefore bypassing the purchase order. Then you have suggested mode functionality. So the VMA process can run in suggest mode, where it suggests the matches for invoices and receipt lines, and then these suggestions can then be reviewed and approved before finalizing the match in AP. There are automation rules in the VMA process, and these rules are used to determine how the invoices are matched to the receipts and the purchase orders. These rules can handle various scenarios, such as exact matches, standard tolerances, and rounding tolerances. So, if we combine the JDE orchestrator to automate processes like checks and sending of the invoice to OCI, and combine that with the Oracle AI to extract the information from the supplier invoice and return those values into the JDE VMA process to create an automation process that creates your supplier invoices into the accounts payable module. You can use this to perform some checks where you can check where no purchase order match is found, no goods receipt voucher found, and whether amounts do not agree to purchase orders or out of tolerance, rounding in issues, duplicate invoice, and where company registration number on the invoice does not agree to your address book master information. So how does the process work? So you'll receive a supplier invoice. You would use Orchestrator to connect to the OCI with the attached invoice. You will use the AI to extract the data. That will then populate the voucher match automation tables. You would use your Orchestrator to complete your checks, and then it would run the VMA UBEs to create your suggestions, and you can then approve or reject your suggestions. And then you could, on approval, it will create your accounts payable vouchers for your approved suggestions, and it can attach the invoice into your accounts payable voucher. So I'm now going to hand over to our corner. We'll be taking you through some of the features in the system administration area.
Thank you very much, Warwick. And there was a question. Marty, please ask your question.
Thank you. If you want me to wait till the end, I don't mind waiting. I just don't want to forget the question.
No, please continue.
Okay, my question is, firstly, if you go back to the voucher match automation, is that standard functionality or is it resolve developed? Well, standard meaning that it's not something that it's something that needs to be developed, or is it something by the client, or is it something that was developed? Yeah, exactly that screen. Go one forward. This one. The functionality that you've explained and showed here, is that resolve developed, or is that part of the voucher match automation facility provided by JD Edwards going forward?
So, Marty, the VMA process is standard functionality in JD Edwards, where you have got your ability to create the log vouchers, the three-way match, and the two-way match. And then they also have, I think it's 9 automation rules that they've brought into the system. So you can base it on 9 different rules. And then the suggestion mode is also standard functionality. It's got the voucher match automation tables that get populated, and then you run the VMA process that creates your vouchers in AP. The AI part is the part that's sort of non-standard, where you would use the orchestrator to connect to your OCI services and then populate the VMA tables into the system. into
So
JDE.
so the OCI services, that's a component sitting in the cloud that will obviously come at a cost, right?
Yeah. So Warren can explain the cost, or we can have a session with you again about the cost. It's obviously just based on the number of documents that you scan through. And I think it's a very, very minimal cost.
Yeah, I remember that from previously. I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Guna, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be taking you through some of the latest administration enhancements that have been released with Release 26. Just not what's new, but what it means strategically for how we manage, automate, and modernize our environments. Oracle's direction with JDE Edwards is clear to move toward a more autonomous, secure, and cloud-ready architecture, where administrators have full control from a browser, where maintenance is simplified, and where uptime and automation drives business continuity. In the subsequent slides, we'll go through some of the enhancements that have been released and how these will propel us to create a modern and more resilient JDE Edwards platform. Okay, the first enhancement is the scheduler web interface. And as you may be aware, scheduler objects have never really been amended or improved for a long time by Oracle. And now they've moved the scheduler capabilities onto the web. And as I understand, historically, administrators needed the development client to manage batch jobs. Now this all can be done via a web client. And the interface enables system administrators to control, configure, maintain, and monitor scheduled jobs directly on the web client. And it's got the same functionality as the development client and more. The interface provides visibility into scheduled jobs, dependencies, and queues, and supports orchestration-based notifications, and also allows us to define job windows, for example, limiting certain processes to business days or non-peak hours. And this, as Oracle's strategy, further eliminates the reliance on Windows clients and allows a true centralized control over the administration of scheduler jobs. Okay, the next enhancement is an addition to the Web OMW, as Oracle had started moving some of the OMW capabilities from 9256, but not all functionalities were brought to the web. Now they've added table operation, and this feature empowers developers and administrators to perform structural changes like table alters, index management directly through the web interface, and again reduces the dependence on the development client, which further speeds up the turnaround time for development activities, as all can be done directly on the web, enabling a more agile development framework. And this feature supports a continuous integration and enhances development pipelines and reduces downtime for table alterations. The next feature is OAuth authentication support for outbound messaging. As security remains central to any modernization effort, the OAuth support replaces traditional password-based authentication with token-based authorization. This is particularly relevant when integrating JDE Edwards with Office 365, Gmail APIs, or any other REST services. And tokens are more secure, easier to rotate, and they align along a lot more with corporate security policies. And a strategic benefit here is to strengthen.
Yes, hello, ma'am. How are you?
Is to strengthen compliance posture and reduce risk of compromised service accounts. And one of the strategies here is to phase out SMTP basic authentication and aids in consolidating all external interfaces through all
Good morning.
enabled connectors.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Okay, our next feature is the improved migration and update toolkit. So this toolkit is a game changer for upgrades and environment modernizations, especially when you're conducting a server migration with your tools upgrade project, as it reduces the turnaround time. What this utility does is captures your existing JDE Edwards configurations and data, then helps you redeploy into a clean code current instance. And this can be done on both on-prem and on OCI. This utility helps minimize downtime. It helps eliminate legacy clutter and creates a predictable migration process that is repeatable. And to go through the benefits again, it helps you reduce your technical debt and aids in creating a foundation for simplified OCI migration and a long-term maintainability. Okay, our next feature is optimized session management for our Oracle database customers. With release 26, Oracle now includes optimized session management. This feature terminates idle or long-running sessions automatically. It helps reclaim resources faster, improves database performance, and avoids connection pileups that can slow down production system and thus will improve the user experience of the front-end system itself. One of the benefits here is that it can aid administrators to have a more predictive performance management methodology. And as mentioned, it automatically aids in freeing up system resources dynamically, which directly contributes to the front-end user experience of how the system works. Okay, for our SQL Server environments, Oracle JDE Edwards now supports SQL Server clustering. And as we all know, this has been something that a lot of IT managers have wanted in place. But the way the kernel management system worked previously, it created a number of issues when attempts were done to have clustering on a JDE Edwards SQL Server environment. So as mentioned, we have been waiting for this for a while, and it's here now, and it helps businesses ensure continuity with seamless failover during planned or unplanned outages, and allows us as admins to perform maintenance without interrupting business operations. It brings SQL Server JDE Edwards environment to enterprise class high availability, and has the capabilities or enhances the capabilities to append a 24/7 uptime and to have better SLA compliance. Okay, so JDE now supports Oracle Database 23 AI, and with the October update, this has been renamed to 26 AI. It delivers improved failover capabilities and enhances business continuity, and customers can experience better system availability with utilizing this Oracle 26 AI database, and it has improved database failover capabilities. Upgrading to 26 AI provides strengthens transactional integrity and allows for smarter recovery scenarios. The benefits is that it ensures a higher uptime, strengthens disaster recovery and the resilience posture. But at this stage, it's only available on OCI. There's no on-prem version released out as yet from Oracle, but they have mentioned that they will be looking at providing an on-prem version of the Oracle 26 AI database. Okay, UDO security performance. So as we all love to use our UX1s, and as we know, when we sign on, when we've got a number of UDOs assigned to us, they take a bit of time to load the UX1 itself, as well as the data that's presented by the UX1. So this enhancement improves that runtime performance, especially for users with many subscriptions, as we have tested on our demo environment that we've seen a difference between how quick we can render the UX1s from comparing from release 25 to release 26. And this enhancement aids in the ability to have a lot more UDOs assigned to a role or to a user. It ensures faster logins, smoother orchestration, execution, and improves the performance of receiving or rendering these UDOs. And the benefit is that for larger enterprises that a user or role will have multiple UDOs assigned, there won't be a lag in them retrieving that critical information that is required, as the performance bottlenecks tied to personalizations and the security models have been reduced. Okay, one of the upcoming features, it's not available yet. It's planned. It should be in one of the upcoming updates, the next 3 updates, is the exciting capability relating to how we handle development clients, the installation and management of development clients. As we all know, we rely a lot on development clients, and installing and updating these clients requires a deployment server. So it's got a huge dependence on a deployment server. And there are some drawbacks with the current process, and every development client is managed individually. So there's no uniformity. There might be packages not matching across development clients. The OUI installer that is currently being used is outdated technology and is insecure. And the deployment server itself remains a single point of failure, as without a deployment server, we can't provide a development client. So this planned enhancement introduces a smarter model, and as development clients will have the ability to configure, install, and update directly through Server Manager, and thus eliminating the need for this activity to use the deployment server. And this indicates that we'll be moving toward a more centralized control model where all client packages, configuration files, and components like your JRE or JDB drivers are managed through Server Manager, and thus ensures that all clients are all in uniform with the same packages and configurations. So this is an upcoming feature that I personally am excited for, as I think it will reduce a lot of the administration activities that we do.